Hi, my name is Gladys Barbosa. I'm a realtor by day, yogi by afternoon, weekends. Today I'm going to be a yogi, although I'm here in my real estate office, which makes a really nice yoga studio for me during the pandemic. So what I thought I would do today is run through a little home practice that you can follow along with now that the yoga studios are closed. It's kind of difficult to put together your own home practice, but I'm sure there's a bunch of you missing a yoga practice. So I'm going to do a really basic one. I'm going to break it into several different sections, so you can choose to do a section or a couple of sections or the whole practice. And I would suggest that you start with a little meditation. Now, I'm terrible at meditating. I've never had a good meditation practice, but since I've been doing a home practice more during this pandemic, I have tuned into an app called Calm, C-A-L-M, and they have guided meditations, so it makes it really easy for me. All I have to do is sit down, close my eyes, and listen to somebody else tell me what to do, when to breathe, how to breathe. And it's extremely relaxing. I think we don't realize how much stress we're carrying in our bodies right now. And just a little 10, 12-minute guided meditation is a great way to start your practice. So anyhow, that's my quick tip. Put Calm on your phone and try to tune in each day to a little quick meditation. It's just a great way of, chilling out and giving your mind and emotions a little bit of a rest. All right, so that concludes my introduction, and we'll begin in a moment. So namaste, yogis. And here's part one of our practice. So I would ask you to come into child's pose. We'll start low for the first section, and we'll begin to put our spine through the paces to warm up, so we can then move safely through the rest of the practice. So child's pose, simply move this out of the way, slide your arms forward, and your hips come back towards your heels. And if this is uncomfortable in any way, you modify. I like to bend my elbows and rest my entire forearm down on the mat. If it's difficult to bring your head to the mat, you can take a block and rest your forehead on that. Or you can just stack your hands and make a little pillow for your forehead. And we'll stay here for 3 breaths. On the next inhalation, begin to press yourself up into a tabletop position. So your hands are right underneath your shoulders, lined up. Open your knees a little bit because we're lining up our knees under our hips. Nice neutral spine. And we'll move through some cat and cow breaths. So cow is inhaling. You're dropping the belly, you're arching the back, you're lifting the tail. And that's the inhalation. On the exhalation, round the spine a lot. Drop the gaze. So now you're looking directly at your thighs. You're pressing down through strong arms. You can be resting on the tops of your feet or curl your toes, your choice. Squeeze all the breath out and then just cycle through back to cow inhalation. So moving at your own pace 3 times. and then return to that neutral spine. So here we'll move into a twist. So we'll take our, let me come this way to show you. We'll sweep our right arm up, and then we'll thread it through and come down to rest onto our right shoulder and our right cheek. Okay, so you rest here. You can relax the left hand, leaving it on the mat. You can sweep it up and drape it behind you in a half bind. You can reach it for the ceiling. All right, so a lot of different options. This is kind of an odd twisty position, so I need you to relax into it. Just let everything go. Let the hips get heavy. Stay for 3 breaths in and out. And then we slowly unwind. So plant that left hand back down on the mat. Inhale and sweep the right arm up. Turn your gaze up as well. And now we'll just do some arm sweeps in and out. A little more dynamic movement in that twist. Exhale as you sweep through. Inhale as you sweep up. Inhale and exhale through the nostrils, just the nostrils if you can. One more time. Sweep up, hold, 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 and then return that right hand to the mat. If you want, you can just shake the tail out. We'll do the other side from the side so you can see what's happening here. So we'll start by threading the needle, inhaling, reaching that left arm up, and then slowly on an exhalation, sweep it through, lower, down, down, down. Now you're coming onto the left shoulder and the left cheek. You can leave that right hand on the mat, your booty's up in the air. Just relax into this twisty twist. And then remember, if you'd like, you can reach that right arm up, or you can take the half bind, draping it behind you, and you'll feel this in your shoulder. So it's just beginning to stretch things open. 3 breaths here. So after 3 breaths, we begin to work our way out. So plant that right hand back down if it's not already on the mat. Inhale, sweeping the left arm up and turning to the left. And then take those arm sweeps 3 times. So inhale is the up sweep, exhale is the down sweep. Last time. And then reach up, twist, hold the twist, breathing, and then go ahead and return that left hand to the mat. And again, if you want, you can kind of let your hips sway side to side. We'll pull back for a moment into child's pose. So hips are coming to your heels, right? Trying to sit the bottom right down on the tops of the heels if you can. The arms extend. So fingertips are almost to the tip of the mat or maybe at the tip of the mat. Lower the forehead down to the mat. Stay here for a few breaths. And then we'll lift the left hand and cross it over the right. So arms are crossed and that left hand is coming right off the mat. And your head is going to nestle right between your biceps. As you pull through the left fingertips, pull the left hip back. All right, so we're just opening up the side body a little bit here. 3 breaths. And then simply change sides. So now you plant that left hand down and the right hand crosses over the left. So fingers are coming off the mat. Just squeeze your face between the biceps. Pull through the right fingertips and pull back through the left hip. Through the right hip. So right fingertips pull in one direction, right hip in the other. Stay for 3 breaths. And then come back into child's pose and slowly pull up to a kneeling position. Okay, continuing to stay low on the mat. One more warm up for the spine. Coming into Parigasana, gate pose. So you come up tall on your knees and then you step the right foot off to the right. Your foot is pointing forward, your toes are pointing forward, and you're supported on this left leg. And I just drop my right hand onto my right thigh. Inhale and sweep the left arm up and over. As I do that, my right hand slides down, down, down to my right shin, okay? So you drape over, and what's happening here, it's really a gravity stretch. The weight of that top arm is beginning to stretch the muscles between the ribs on the left side of the body, okay? So we just let gravity do the work here. And in most of these poses, I'll try to remember to tell you, we're staying for at least 3 breaths, okay? So just remember 3 is the magic number here. All right, use your inhalation to rise up and then plant that left hand down on the mat, and we'll move into a supported side plank. So inhale and lift that left leg and go ahead and raise the right leg. Sorry about this right and left. Lift the right leg and lift the right arm up and turn your gaze up. I like to flex my foot so it really activates the leg. I like to spread my fingers wide so it activates the arm, and I'm balancing here. And after about 3 breaths, on an exhalation, I drop back into gate pose, okay? And here, if you just want some dynamic movement, you can take some arm circles. So exhale and sweep the arm down. Inhale, raise it up. And just make this nice, wide, loopy circle 3 times with the arm. Finally, coming one more time into Parigasana, and maybe noticing that this time that right hand slides even further down the shin and you're draping over a little more deeply because these muscles are stretching open and making you more limber. All right, inhale, rise up, and then we just switch sides. So now you'll come to rest on that right knee. You'll extend the left leg out. Just place that left hand there. Inhale, sweeping the right arm up and over. And see, I'm not coming over too far this first time because I'm just beginning to warm things up on my right right side. I'm letting the weight of that arm deepen the stretch bit by bit. Staying for those 3 breaths. And then on an inhalation, rising up, planting that right hand down. Now the left leg lifts, the left arm lifts, and we're balancing. So spread the fingers wide, flex the foot to really activate it. You can lift your gaze to look up. Again, staying for those 3 breaths at least, and you can stay for longer if you want, but stay for at least 3 breaths in each of these positions. On an exhalation, go ahead back into Parigasana. Arm reaches over, maybe the stretch is a little deeper this time. And then we take those circles, so sweep down, inhale up, exhale down and around. Inhale up, one more time, down and around, inhale up, and then just pause, okay? And I'm sure you're now a little more deep into this gate pose, meaning that the stretch is more extreme than it was the first time, okay? You're able to drape over more deeply. So all we've been doing here is we've been warming up our spine. The spinal column is the center of all your yoga poses, so it's really important to warm up the spine adequately before you move into a flow or holding some of the asanas for long periods of time. Otherwise, you can get hurt if you don't warm up. So that's what we've done here. This first section has been about staying low, warming up the spine, and from here we'll move into some sun salutations. But this concludes the first section of my yoga practice. So, namaste. Namaste, yogis. I'm Gladys, back for part 2 of our home yoga practice. So we've just completed a section where we've warmed up the spine, we've stayed low on the mat. Now that the spine is warmer and ready to move, we'll go through some sun salutations and flow a little bit. So we'll start by coming up to a standing position. And we'll just start with some sun breaths. So you may hear my inhalations on this video seeming rather exaggerated, but I really want you to draw as much air in on your inhalations as you can, because part of this is flooding the body with fresh oxygen. Okay, so we sweep the arms up on the inhalation, we sweep the arms down on the exhalation, and then we'll do that several times. So this next time I'm going to bend my knees a little and then launch myself up with that big inhalation. On the exhalation, I'll bend the knees, I'll let my chin drop down towards my chest, and then fly up. So just go in and out, following your breath. Just building a little heat in the body. When you combine breath and movement, it's called pratapana. So we're practicing pratapana here. Dynamic movement with breath. All right, so we're a little warmed up here, ready to move into a full sun salutation. So I'm going to break it down in parts. You start by sweeping the arms up. And we'll go slowly and stay for 3 breaths on this first one in each position. On the next exhalation, swan dive forward. Okay, so you're dropping yourself into a forward fold. You're letting the arms dangle. You're letting the head dangle. Legs are straight. If you need to bend your knees a little bit, you can. Trying to get the fingertips down to the mat. Stay for 3 breaths. The next inhalation, just trail those fingertips along the tops of the feet, up the shin bones, and bring the hands right to the knees. We're pressing hands into legs. Come sideways so you can see. We're pulling the crown of our head forward. We're pulling our tail back, and we're creating a beautiful flat spine. So you're really pressing the hands. I don't have a bend in my elbows. I'm pressing into the legs, and that's pulling my shoulders back and away from my ears. Crown moving forward, tail moving back, and the lower belly is engaged here. So we want to contract that lower belly a little bit. The only way I can explain that is it's like you're trying to pull your belly button in and up a little bit. So we have a very active belly. This is an active pose, okay? So we stay for 3 breaths. And then we exhale, falling forward again. So we just let it all go, just pour forward. And maybe if the first forward fold, you couldn't quite get your fingertips to the mat, maybe they hit the mat now. Maybe you can even bring your palms all the way to the mat. Let the head dangle. And then bend your knees a little bit, just to protect the lower back as we sweep up, okay? Inhale, use your arms, link to that inhalation, rise up, up, up. Hands come together in prayer, gaze rises, and then exhale, hands right to your heart, okay? So we went slowly, now we'll flow 3 times through that half sun A salutation. So inhale up. Each movement linked to either an inhalation or an exhalation. Here we go, exhaling down. The next inhalation draws us up to that nice flat back. Release and exhale, forward folding deeply. And then just rise with the next inhalation. And exhale back to the heart. So that's 1. Just follow the breath. That's 2. And that's 3. All right. So the body's beginning to warm up a little bit here. We'll come into Tadasana, which is mountain pose, which is just our standing resting pose. So fully supported on 2 legs, arms dangle loosely at your sides. You may find that the palms turn forward, shoulders relax. And what we're doing in Tadasana is we're stacking our joints. So the knees are right above the ankles, the hips are right above the knees, the shoulders line up with the hips, and that head is just kind of balanced between the 2 shoulders. Okay, close your eyes for a few breaths. And then slowly open the eyes. So we'll move further through Sun Salutation A into a full Sun Salutation A, a full flow. So again, we'll break it down. Inhaling, sweeping the arms up. We've done this already. Exhaling, forward folding. Inhaling to that halfway lift. This is where it changes. On the exhalation, bend your knees and bring your hands to the mat. Then you step back onto the ball of one foot and the ball of the other, and you've moved yourself into a high plank. So let me come sideways so you can see what's happening here. Okay? You've created a diagonal line from your heels to the crown of your head. Okay? And the lower belly is very engaged. The core muscles are working here to hold you up in place. This is kind of like the beginning of a push-up, basically, right? You're supported on two straight arms, your hands are directly below your shoulders, and you're balanced on the balls of those feet. Okay, we stay here for 3 breaths. Again, using that breath. And then we move from high to low plank just by bending the elbows and lowering that diagonal plank down. Right before the chest hits the mat, inhale, slide through and straighten the arms. And you've moved yourself into upward facing dog. Now in the first upward facing dog, maybe your knees are still down on the mat. You're resting on the tops of the feet, but eventually we want to really straighten our arms so our knees come off the mat. Thighs and knees are off the mat. The gaze is forward. You're here for 3 breaths. And then tuck the toes, okay? And the next inhalation, the hips come high, the heels sink down, and you've moved yourself into downward facing dog. So you are a great big upside down V. You're working on pressing the heels down onto the mat. They may not get there, that's fine. You're just moving in that direction. There is no bend in the knees, okay? And you're pulling the hips back, 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 so the head is dangling between your biceps. Fingers are spread wide and you're pressing into the pads of the fingertips. 3 breaths here. And then we just bring our feet to our hands. So you can just walk the feet forward all the way to the hands, and you're back in a forward fold. Bend the knees a little bit. We're rising with the breath, sweeping up, up, up. Palms together overhead, and then exhale right to the heart. So we'll flow 3 times through a full sun salutation A. I'll come sideways so you can see. Inhale, sweep up. Exhale is the forward fold. Inhale is the halfway lift. Exhale, hands come to the mat. Step or hop back right into that high plank and keep exhaling as you lower down, down, down. Slide through, straighten the arms, lift the gaze. Upward facing dog. Then tuck the toes. Big inhalation lifts the hips high, and then exhale, heels down. Downward facing dog. Stay for a breath in and a breath out. And then move the feet to the hands. You can walk or hop. Sweep up and exhale to the heart. Again, each movement linked to a breath in or a breath out. And one more time. what is half sun, full sun salutation, and it's a great way for beginning to warm up the body. You can take as many sun salutations as you want during your practice. I know a yogi who does sun salutations every morning. The number of years he is old, and he's like in his 60s. He might even be 70. That's a lot of sun salutations. Anyhow, it's up to you, but I wanted you to be able to go through the poses that comprise a classic sun salutation. So, we'll take a break here before moving into the next section. So, thank you, namaste, and I'll be back in a moment. Welcome back, yogis. We're here for part 3 of our home yoga practice. So we just completed 2 sections. First one was staying low on the mat and doing some spinal work, twisting, flexing, just to warm the spine up. Our second section was taking us through some half sun salutations flowing into full sun salutations. And now we'll introduce our warriors, warrior 1, warrior 2, into a balancing warrior, warrior 3. But we'll build on what we've done so far. So we'll move into our warriors, starting with that classic sun salutation flow. Okay, so we start by standing on the mat. Inhale, sweep up. Remember, as always, each movement is linked to a breath. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale to that halfway lift, or that nice flat back. Exhale, forward folding. Inhale, sweeping up. Exhale, hands to the heart. So, inhale up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. And this time, hands to the mat, step or hop back, and come into that high plank. High, exhaling to low. Inhaling to up dog. Exhaling to downward facing dog. And from here, from downward dog, we're set up to move into warrior 1. So I like to inhale and sweep a leg up in the air first. Get a nice stretch going there. And then step that right foot forward. And you can use your hand to position that foot. We're getting it right between our hands. At the same time, you're twisting on the ball, pivoting on the ball of that back foot, and then setting the heel down on the mat. So the front foot, toes are pointed forward. The back foot, the foot is at a diagonal. Okay, and that's creating a very solid base. So you're pressing down and forward through the front foot, no bend in the back leg. You're pressing down to the outer edge of that back foot. Arms sweep back and your chest is resting on your right thigh momentarily. We rise with the inhalation and open the arms. Okay, so we've moved ourselves into warrior 1. Couple of cues. We keep that front knee lined up over the front ankle. The hip bones, which want to veer off to the left here, need to be pointed forward, so there's a little bit of a twist occurring at the waist. The arms are in a wide V, the gaze can rise up, and you're pressing your feet in opposite directions, and that's what creates the stability of the warrior. So let's stay here for 3 breaths. And then you can return your hands to the mat, step back into that high plank, vinyasa through, exhaling, lifting up on the inhale to upward facing dog, exhale back to downward facing dog, just so we're ready to change sides, okay? So just like we did on the right, we sweep now the left leg up, get a good stretch going here, and then step that left foot forward. If you need to, you can manually center that foot between your hands. Remember, the back foot, you pivot on the ball of the foot and then set the heel down, okay? So same foot setup, just on the other side. You can sweep the arms back and then rise with the inhalation. All right, so hips are facing forward. Front knee is lined up over front ankle. There's no bend in the back leg. You can lift your gaze, nice wide V with your arms. And after 3 breaths, return your hands to the mat, step back. High plank becomes low. Inhale to up dog. Exhale to downward facing dog. Stay for a breath in and a breath out. And then we'll move from warrior 1 to warrior 2. So first sweep the right leg up. Step the right foot forward. Sweep arms back. Rise on the inhalation. Take warrior 1 first. And I'd like you to lock your gaze on something in front of you and leave your gaze there as we transition into warrior 2. So keeping that focused gaze on something in front of you, just turn the body open now to the left, drawing the right arm forward, the left arm back. Nothing has changed in your warrior legs. They are the same, but the torso has moved now and turned to the left. Okay, nice strong arms pulling in opposite directions. But your gaze is locked on something forward and you stay for 3 breaths. And if you're holding warrior 3 and your arms get tired, you can just soften the elbows for a moment. Draw them into the body, palms facing up, okay? When you've completed 3 breaths here, we'll just cartwheel, hands to the mat, step back, and we'll use that vinyasa, moving through high to low plank, up dog, to downward facing dog. Stay for a breath in and out, and then sweep the left leg up. And step the left foot forward, setting yourself up for warrior 1 first. Moving with the breath, lifting and opening, locking your gaze on something in front of you that will not move, leaving your gaze there as you transition into warrior 2. Okay, so you see nice strong arms, very strong legs, pressing down and forward through the front foot, pressing along the outer edge of the back foot. Right? No bend in the elbows. Hold and breathe. And this is a good time to bust out your Ujjayi sounding breath. We haven't talked very much about breath work, but your Ujjayi breath is a focusing breath. It's an inhalation in. On the exhalation, you're forcing that breath along the back of the throat and vibrating those whispering muscles. So it's audible, the exhalation. I don't know if you can hear me, but here I'll inhale and then Ujjayi exhalation. So if somebody walked up next to you, they would hear that exhalation. All right, we're vinyasaing back down to the mat. So cartwheel, hands down, step back. High plank becomes low. Inhale to up dog. Exhale to downward facing dog. Now, good idea to take a break whenever you want to. So just remember, drop to your knees when you need a break. Pull hips back to the heels and find child's pose. So forehead comes down to the mat. You can keep your knees together in classic child's pose, or you can take a variation in which your knees open to the outer edges of the mat and your big toes come together. So that's known as wide-legged child's pose. Arms reach forward and your chest drops between those open knees, and maybe you can get your chest all the way down to the mat. And then slowly rise up, and we'll add our warrior 3 to that sequence. So, come on up. Inhale, sweep up. Exhale, forward fold. Halfway lift. On the exhalation, hands come to the mat. Step or hop back. You're in a high plank, exhaling as you lower through chaturanga. Inhale, lifting to upward facing dog. Tuck the toes, inhale, here come the hips up high. Heels sink down, downward facing dog. Take a breath in and a breath out. And then step that right foot forward, pivoting on the ball of the back foot, setting up for warrior 1. Arms sweep back and rise with the inhalation. There you go. So a breath in warrior 1. Transition into warrior 2. And warrior 3 is a one-legged balance. So let's come back into warrior 1. Then bring our hands together at our heart and step down into that standing leg and sweep the back leg up. So your gaze is right down at the mat, and I'll show you this sideways. All right. So classic warrior 3, balancing on one leg. If you feel very stable here, you can extend your arms forward. Stay for 3 breaths. Find that ujjayi sounding breath to help you focus and balance. Hands come back to the heart and simply step down. Okay, so we'll do it on the other side. Inhaling up, exhaling forward, inhaling halfway lift, exhaling hands to the mat, step or hop back and move from high to low plank. Inhale to upward facing dog, tuck the toes, hips go high, heels sink down, downward facing dog. Breath in, breath out. And then the left foot steps forward, pivoting on the ball of the back foot, rising to warrior 1. Stay for a breath. Opening to warrior 2, keeping that gaze forward. Back to warrior 1. Nothing has changed in your legs. Those warrior legs stay the same through 1 and 2. Bring your hands together at your heart and then prepare for warrior 3. So you're stepping down into that left foot, lifting the right, hinging forward. Hands are at your heart. Gaze is down at the floor. You've created the letter T here. You can flex the foot of the lifted leg just to straighten it out and get energy running down. If you want, you can extend your arms forward. Staying for 3 breaths. Bring palms back to your heart. and step down. All right, I don't know how much of that you saw because I was sideways. I don't know how much showed. Anyhow, sweep up, exhale forward, inhale halfway, hands to the mat, step back into downward facing dog, pull the hips back, and then slowly sink the knees to the mat and sit back on your heels. So that concludes part 3 of what I was hoping would be a 4-part practice, but I'm running out of time. Got to go show a house now, actually. So I will get back to you soon with part 4 of our home practice. Until then, namaste. Gladys, the Yogi Realtor. Namaste and welcome. My name is Gladys, the Yogi Realtor, here after a long day of selling houses at my office, Edge Realty in Narragansett, on my mat, ready to turn my office into a yoga studio. We have completed 3 segments of a 4-segment home practice, and this will be the final 4th segment. So if you do them in sequence, you'll have a whole 1-hour-long basic yoga class that you can follow along with at home. If you don't have time for a whole hour, you can do just the first segment or the first 2 segments, but they do build on each other. So just to recap, segment 1, we stayed low on the mat and we began to warm up our spine. A lot of spinal stretches and twists, etc. Section 2, we worked through our sun salutations, various sun salutations. So now we're beginning to incorporate linking the breath with movement. Section 3, we worked through some asanas, the warrior poses. We did warrior 1, warrior 2, and warrior 3. So in this final section, I'm going to do a balancing pose with you. I'll do some back bends because the spine should be warmed up by now. We'll do some final twists and then Shavasana. So we'll start with the balancing pose, one of my favorites, which is tree pose. And you come up onto your mat, standing. And just start with standing up straight with the weight equally distributed between your 2 legs, 2 feet, okay? Just feel yourself grounded in those 2 standing legs. You can bring your hands to your hips. It's helpful in setting up balancing poses to do this, hands on hips. And we'll just begin to shift our weight into the left leg. And as you do that, you begin to come up onto the ball of the right foot. So there are 3 different possible foot positions for tree pose. The first one is simply pivoting on the ball of that right foot and setting the right heel against the left ankle. Okay, so that would be probably the easiest balance for you. If you want to test your balance a little more, you pick up that right foot and you place it against the inside of the left shin. Okay, a little harder to balance here. Okay, if you want to take it further still, grab onto that right foot and position it right at the top of the inside of the left thigh. Now, I'm really pressing that right foot into the left thigh, and I'm really pressing the left thigh back into the foot. So those pressure points are creating some stability, I hope, for my balancing pose. So you can see I've now brought my hands together and they're also pressing into each other. And once I feel steady enough, on an inhalation, I begin to raise those prayer hands up overhead. Okay, I'm still okay in my balance. So on the next inhalation, I open the branches of my tree, okay, into full expression of tree pose. And if I really want to test my balance, I bring a little bit of movement in. So you can wave the branches of your tree here and see what that does to your balance. Now to come out of tree pose, try to come out the way you came into it, incrementally. And then finally, step down. Try to do that gracefully, it doesn't always happen. Shake your legs out a little bit before you change sides. And the thing to know is one side is always better than the other, okay? I find that I'm always a little more stable on one side versus the other, and it's not always the same side. Some days it's my right, some days it's my left. I'm about to find out on camera right now if I'm moving to my bad side. All right, so again, we stabilize ourselves in that standing position, Tadasana, mountain pose, okay, where we've got the weight equally distributed first. Hands come to the hips, and then press down into the right leg and right foot and pop up onto the ball of the left. So we're just shifting weight over to the left leg. And remember, here are your options. Just rest the left heel against the right ankle, or pick the foot up and place it the inner shin, calf of the standing leg. Or further still, pick the foot up and place it all the way at the top of that right thigh. And now I'm pressing the foot into the thigh, and the thigh is pressing back. The one place you do not want to put that foot is against the inside of the knee. Okay, that can be dangerous for your knee. All right, this side's feeling okay. So far, so good. I bring my hands together in prayer. Take a few breaths here. Uh-oh. All right, I didn't go over yet. Let's see what happens when I lift my prayer hands up. Okay. And then I open the branches of my tree. Okay. It's a beautiful pose to look at. And then if I'm really feeling stable, which I don't know if I am, I begin to move the branches of my tree. And if at this point you feel very unstable and you actually fall over, that's normal. Movement in a balancing pose, it makes the pose twice as difficult. And you want to make it really difficult, close your eyes. And then all bets are off. Okay, trying to come out of this gracefully. That might not be possible. I'm trying because I don't want to have to re-record this whole section. All right, so hands come back down to your heart, and you pause. And if you feel unbalanced, just kind of breathe through it. If you fall out of the pose, you just come back in. That's why they call it a practice, right? All right, I'm ready to step down and then shake everything out. So that's tree pose. Vrksasana is the Sanskrit name. And we'll move ourselves now down onto the mat for a back bend. As I mentioned earlier in the practice, we were warming up our spine, getting us ready to come into some back bends. And here we are. So you're gonna roll yourself down onto your back. You're gonna walk your feet in as close as you can to your bottom, and you'll lay your arms at your sides, palms facing down. Okay, so your spine is completely connected to the floor. You're resting on the back of your head, and you're pressing into the soles of the feet and into the palms of the hands. So on an inhalation, really press into the hands and feet and inhale the hips up. Okay. Now, something that happens as soon as you start to lift your hips is your knees want to pop open, and we're trying to keep in bridge pose our thighs parallel. So sometimes, just to keep myself honest, I will stick a block between my thighs and squeeze the thighs to hold the block in place, okay?
It's up to you if you want to do that. Let me just, so you can see me better. See what's happening with my spine. Let me get this off. Come back down onto the mat. Arms are at my sides, palms facing down, feet walked in very close to my bottom. Press into the feet, press into the hands, inhale and lift the hips up. So I'm up in a little bit of a back bend. I'm working to keep the thighs parallel. I stay here for 3 breaths. And then on the exhalation, I slowly lower 1 vertebrae at a time, my back down to the mat. Okay, so that is a gentle bridge pose. You can take it a little further if you'd like by pressing hands into the mat, feet into the mat, inhaling, lifting the hips up, 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 keeping the thighs parallel. And then interlacing the fingers of your hands underneath you. Okay, so you're binding your fingers. Once you've done that, roll one shoulder under and then the other. So you're resting kind of on the back of your biceps. And now you gain a lot more height. You can see my hips have come up much higher. And I'm still working on keeping my thighs parallel, pressing into the soles of my feet. And I'm resting just on the back of the head and the top of the shoulders, but the rest of the spine is up, the hips are up, and I stay here for 3 breaths. On the 3rd exhalation, slowly drop down. Pull your hands apart to make room so you can come all the way back down onto your spine. This time when I land down on my spine, I press my lower back into the mat a lot, so much so that my shoulders lift up a little bit and I contract the muscles of the belly, and I hold that contraction for about 5 seconds, and then I let everything go. All right. So you had bridge, you had an extended version of bridge with bound hands. If you would like to take your back bending up 1 more level, you can come into the setup for wheel pose, or you can come up fully into wheel pose. So in wheel pose, same setup as bridge. Scoot down a little. The feet are in the same place, walked in very close to your bottom. Legs parallel and together. In wheel, you draw your arms up and then you bend at the elbows and you place the palms of your hands down on the mat so the fingers are pointing in towards your shoulders. And equally pressing into hands and feet with your elbows pointed straight up, you begin to lift up and roll yourself onto the top of your head. Okay, so we're in a setup now for wheel. If you want to take it fully into wheel, you begin to press into the hands to straighten the arms and lift up into a full back bend. And if you can stay here for 3 breaths, that would be great. When you release, you tuck your head decisively and then set your head down, the back of your head down onto the mat. Go ahead and open your arms, palms facing up. So you can rest your hands gently on the tops of your thighs, soles of your feet are together, and you just let those knees relax and the hips open. Close your eyes. The magic 3 breaths here. And then to release, you just bring your hands to the outside of those thighs and close the knees together like you're closing a book. Pick your feet up, cross at the ankles. You can tuck your hands behind your bent knees and just rock yourself up to a seated position. We'll swing around and then we'll come into a little twisting pose. So you can just sit up on your heels. We'll inhale, both arms up, and then begin to twist to the right. Exhale, go ahead and drop the arms. The left hand is coming to the outside of the right knee. That right hand is coming behind you and you're supporting yourself on the fingertips. Now, we stay for 3 breaths. On the inhalation, we draw the spine nice and straight. On the exhalation, we really press that hand into the outside of the thigh to deepen the twist. And when we really can't twist anymore and we run out of exhalation, we inhale and get tall, and then we exhale and we twist a little deeper. So 3 inhalations and exhalations should work you into a deep twist. And then slowly unwind, okay? And we'll do the whole thing over again on the other side. So inhale, arms up, twist to the left, and then drop the right hand outside the left thigh. Prop yourself up on the left fingertips. Inhale to a tall spine. Exhale, begin the twist. And the twist starts low in your spine and works its way up, okay? So it's by the 3rd exhalation that your gaze is coming behind you. And then to release, you just kind of loosen your grip and slowly come forward. So let's just swing our legs around. We'll come into a, sideways, better maybe. We'll come into a seated forward fold. So sit up nice and tall. Inhale, arms up. Flex your feet a lot, and then on an exhalation, just fold forward. Let your hands drop wherever they will. In my case, I can reach my feet, so I just hang on to my feet. You may only reach to your calves, and that's fine. Just grab on wherever you can, and then allow the spine to round and the head to drop. Okay? So forward folds bring our attention inward. Staying here for 3 breaths. And then we begin to release wherever we were grabbing onto, the feet, the calves, ankles, and slowly roll yourself back up to a straight spine. So we're coming to the end of our practice, and I like to do one more twist before we move into Shavasana, and that's what's known as a supine twist. In a supine twist, you extend your arms out and place the palms down. And you haven't quite lined up your hands with your shoulders, right? If you were lining up your hands with your shoulders, the arms would be a straight extension from the shoulders. I want you to slide the hands down a little. So the arms are a little bit at a diagonal, palms facing down. Then inhale and lift bent knees up and the feet come right off the mat. So we begin by rolling those bent knees to the right and dropping them down over onto the right, okay? Once your feet and knees have come to the right, you're going to turn your gaze and look to the left. And you're trying very hard to keep that left shoulder down on the mat. Now here, I'd like you to close your eyes and just relax, because we want gravity to do the work here in the supine twist. The weight of those knees are pulling the lower part of your body in one direction. Your gaze and your torso is twisting in the other direction. But it's a passive twist, not something to muscle through. So just relax into it. It should feel good. 3 breaths here. And then when you're ready to release, inhale and roll those knees back to the center. And then on an exhalation, we're rolling the knees over to the left and dropping the feet down. You can see I'm taking a hand and placing it on the top thigh. That kind of weighs the legs down and deepens the twist a little. So it's just an option. If you want to place a hand there, you can. Otherwise, leave the palms of your hands both on the mat. And now my gaze is coming over that right shoulder, which I'm trying to keep down on the mat. Close your eyes and breathe. So they say that twists have a detoxifying effect on the body. They give a squeeze and a soak, like you're wringing out a sponge to some of those internal organs, liver, kidneys, etc. So if that's the case, you're actually having a healthy benefit that comes from this twist. And when you've concluded 3 full inhalations and exhalations, roll yourself back up onto your back, drop your feet down, and you're ready to come into Shavasana, which is also known as corpse pose. So you just extend your legs out, you drop your arms at your side, palms facing up, and then you slowly relax all the muscles in the body, and you close your eyes. So I'll just walk you through a little guided relaxation in your final pose of this practice. You're flat on your back, your eyes are closed. You return to your natural breath. So you just let the waves of breath roll in and roll out of your body. Your feet, you can just allow them to kind of splay open. You're not trying to keep your toes pointed up. You just let the feet relax. When you do that relaxation effect kind of travels up from your feet, and your knees relax, and then the hips open a little, right? You just let everything get very heavy, very loose. And still, that natural breath is just rolling unbidden in and out, like waves on the shore, okay? You can stay in Shavasana as long as you want. I would suggest a minimum of 5 minutes. This just allows the body to kind of let go of the efforting and move into deep relaxation. And it's a great way, it brings us kind of full circle in a yoga practice. You start by beginning to relax, you use the breath, you use some easy stretches, you build through your practice, and then you bring everything back down again. So you stay as long as you want in your Shavasana. You basically are doing nothing, and the only thing I will ask you to do, because it's very easy as you're laying there doing nothing to start busy mind, just like in meditation. just try to still the mind. And if you recognize that thoughts are beginning to run through your brain and you're attaching some importance to those thoughts, just let them go. Okay? You acknowledge that they're passing through, but then you let them go for the time being. Those to-do lists, all the things that run through your mind, the conversation, they'll all be there at the end of Shavasana. So give your body and your mind a little break. So I hope you've enjoyed this home practice. I hope you will use it. And if you have any questions about yoga or real estate, contact me, Gladys, the Yogi Realtor, at GLADYS@edgerealtyri.com. So until the next time, namaste.